Hello, carbon-based listeners and silicon-powered friends. Welcome to Mastering the Machine, the podcast where humans and automation collide in perfect harmony. I'm your host, Frank Lamb, and whether you're flesh and blood or circuits and code, we're here to explore industrial automation together. From factory floors to digital cores, we're exploring how machines are reshaping our world, one algorithm at a time. So plug in, power up, and let's master the machine together. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this, the 89th webinar from the Automation Academy, Mastering the Machine. And this is going to be a little bit different episode in that I'm going to be using this for both my Automation Academy audience, and we'll be posting it on YouTube. But also, this will be on one of my podcasts, which I just recently started, also called Mastering the Machine. The first episode has been released on all the places that you can get podcasts, Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all that good stuff. I have learned that podcasts are very different than webinars. They have an RSS feed, so they are subscribed to and all that kind of thing. So the audience may be a little bit different for my podcast than the people that usually tune in on YouTube and things like that. But anyway, this is the 89th webinar over the last 4 years or so. It is the 9th of August, 2025. And the topic today, hopefully we'll be having a few guests join us, is OT SCADA CON 2025. So this was the second consecutive OT SCADA CON conference. It was held in Houston, as it was last year, and I was able to be a speaker at both of them. And we're going to be talking to a few other people who attended and spoke at the conference. So I do see some folks showing up here from OT SCADA CON. I am not sure that you're going to be able to see them on the webinar, but as this is going to be focused on also my podcasts, the most important thing is that you can hear people. So people will be, chiming in as we go along. The podcasts themselves are only about 30 to 40 minutes long, and the webinar often goes over an hour. So I'm pretty informal. I'm going to chop this up when we get done, like I do on my webinars, and take out things that don't need to be in there and just section out the part that's going to be on the podcast. That's kind of the goal. So moving right into it. This was held in Houston, Texas on July the 23rd through the 25th. It was a 3-day event this year. Last year, it was a 2-day event. So a little bit different, a few more speakers. Last year, I want to say we may have had 30 different episodes or something, but they were crammed into less time, and some of us spoke twice. So last year I did discrete machinery and IO devices. This year I did one event myself, and I'm going to go ahead and list, for those of you who are listening, some of the speakers that were at this. There were 24 episodes. One of them might not have occurred. I'm going to ask some of the folks that were here and see if they remember that happening. But first was systems integration, day one, and Allie G, who is one of the automation ladies, spoke on that systems integration. She had also done a presentation on control panel building and UL panel shops and that sort of thing for the first 2 days before the conference, which was Monday and Tuesday. I went second. I guess they're an old guy. I'm an old guy, so everybody wanted to make sure that I got my stuff out of the way so I didn't, pass out or something later or go home early or whatever. So third was HMIs, and the original speaker was supposed to be Scott Chapman. Scott Chapman, very interesting guy, very humorous, and he did not get to speak because he came down with COVID just a few days before OT SCADA CON. So Nikki Gonzalez did an HMI presentation, and she focused mostly on WineTech, which is her company. She works for WineTech doing, I think, marketing and some other things, and did a great presentation on some of the details of WineTech. And some of us who have used it did chime in and talk about some of the features that are included in that and our experiences with using it. The next episode was number 4, and I have written here VFDs, and I don't remember a VFD presentation. And this was supposed to be Maria Williams, and for whatever reason, she didn't get to make it. But I believe the next presentation was Sandro Quintero, and he did servo drives and controllers, and we got a little bit into VFDs there, talked about the difference between, just AC inductive motors and servos, things like that. Then machine safety, another guy who didn't get to make it, I really miss seeing him, was Juan Pino. I think he may have been under the weather or had some other problems. So Patrick Bunn, who is here on the episode here, spoke for him, did machine safety. And that's really a brave thing to do, step in for somebody else and use their presentation and speak on it. That's a tough thing to do. After that was machine vision, Greg McIntyre. Then industrial robots and end-of-arm tooling, Courtney Fernandez, who is also one of the organizers. Then process equipment and instrumentation. David Turner was supposed to do this, and he, again, was not able to make it, so Ali G. and Caleb Travis did that. Then Caleb also continued on with process control and PID loop tuning, which he has a lot of experience doing. I think they called him the PID whisperer or something like that during the webinar. DCS was covered by Brandon Peters. And all this fun stuff, of course, you can look up online to find out what it is if you don't recognize some of these terms like DCS, distributed control systems. Then a very interesting presentation by Ashley Shirley, also Ashley Van Hosen, also Ashley Wolf, depending on which name she happens to be using at the time for various reasons. She did cybersecurity and pen testing. Very, very interesting presentation, and we'll have some people chime in on that. Then Patrick did his actual presentation, which was ICS networking, mostly covering some of the details of Ethernet. Then we did server hardware and virtualization. Albert Fernandez, who, yes, is married to Courtney Fernandez, and did server hardware virtualization for SCADA systems. Very interesting. I need to know more about virtual machines myself. Then Nestor Aria did object-oriented SCADA in Spanish, and there were subtitles, and the subtitles were partially effective. My Spanish is not great, but I was able to pick up the gist of most of what went on. It was a little fast for me. I'm not that fluent, so I had to rely on some of the subtitles, and some of the results were pretty funny, as subtitles can be. Then Naomi Pittman, very interesting presentation on SCADA screens, trending visualization. And this was her first conference doing this, and she did a really great job. And then another person who did a really bang-up job was Ruhi Raza, and she was from Pakistan. And she was speaking in English, which is not her native language, but did a wonderful job on historians and process databases and went into great detail, very technical. Then Rafi, who is a co-worker of Ruhi from Pakistan, also did industrial alarm notification, remote access. Then IIoT, Zach Scriven did both IIoT and also did unified namespace right after that. Then Carlos Colon did industrial serialization. David, actually his name is pronounced, and I did not know this, Dazi, even though it looks like it's spelled Dadzi, right? David Dazi did predictive maintenance. He works for Newell Brands, and very interesting. He has a good perspective on that because he's been an integrator for a long time. Vinny Endres did agricultural automation, and I've gotten to know Vinny fairly well over the last few years, and he's been really educational on some of the cutting edge IIoT techniques and small things that you can do with PLCs. So very interesting. And then the last person I have on here, and there may have been more, because I had to leave during Vinny's presentation to be able to get home on time for a bunch of serial travel that I did afterward. Oil and gas automation, Nestor Aria again. So there may have been another presentation, and I'm going to kind of bring some of the other people in here and see if they maybe remember this a little bit differently, or if they remember who the last couple of presenters were. Because like I said, I was not able to see the very last part of the conference. I left at about 2 o'clock or 1:30 on Friday, which was the last day of the conference. And with that, I'm going to kind of open the floor here and see if anybody remembers who any of those last folks were. Vinny,
You got
I know.
it right.
Okay,
You got
I
it
got
right.
it right. So Nestor was after Vinny, and of course, I know what Vinny did. Vinny actually went through and showed me his presentation before I left in great detail, showed me all his slides, which was really awesome. So, and that was Emily that you heard. Emily, how you doing?
Great. I'm having my breakfast, so sorry I'm munching away over here, but
No
it's
problem.
good.
Yeah, Emily, and I'm going to shout out here to also some of the organizers. Automation Ladies were the main organizers of this. This was originally Allie G's idea, and Allie G is full of ideas. She creates all kinds of things. I've told her she's one of the uh, quickest creators of things I've ever met. Creates more things in less time and gets things going. Everything from kids PLC kits to her own company to OT SCADA CON to Automation Ladies, you name it. She gets lots of stuff done. And then Nikki Gonzalez, who is really kind of I don't know what you'd call her, the social. She's pretty good at marketing and talking to folks. She's very social and does a lot of the speaking for Automation Ladies. And then Courtney Fernandez, another official Automation Lady who does lots of robotic and vision and things like that, a kind of systems integrator. And then, of course, Emily has been helping out a lot. Elena Valan, let's see, who else? Nikki's sister helped out. Lots of
Alma
folks.
Fernandez, not related to Courtney or Albert.
Yes, Alma Fernandez. Anybody else?
Miriam Suleiman, she helped volunteer, and then Courtney Pendon also helped coordinate it. Like the day of, she was really, her and Miriam both were really instrumental in making sure that it was like running smoothly.
Yep. And lots of folks stepped up, everything from making
Yes.
coffee to ordering food to you name it. Lots of good stuff. And I see several other people here. I see a couple people maybe who spoke, and then I know Nick attended. And let's see, Yuri Nator. I'm not sure I recognize that name. He may have been at the conference, and I just didn't see him. But
Ricardo was there. Hi, Ricardo.
Hello guys, how's it going? Yeah, I didn't help organize, but I hopefully I helped bring the mood in there and socialize there with people. So
yes, a lot of people did that. As you can see, if anyone who can see the picture here, there are just people making faces and uh, making moves in the back. I couldn't see them because I was in front of them, but just lots of fun. People laying down and having fun in the front. So it was a blast. It was a very social conference. That's really the main purpose. And I see Yuri. Oh, that's funny, Albert. Now I get Yuri Nator. Okay, I understand. Yes, that's Albert. Yuri Nator. Okay, very good. Uh, so, couple questions that I've kind of prepared here ahead of time. I mentioned the planning and coordination, and since Emily was a little part of that, could you tell us some of the things that went on to get this thing prepared in the months and months ahead of time?
Yeah, well, one, it was wrangling all of the speaker presentations is probably the one that speaks like the most high or most loudly to me because that was probably the most difficult part. But it was um speaker presentations, just making sure like the venue, everything was coordinated with Endress Hauser. They were awesome hosting us. And then we had a couple people at that facility there who really like made it run as smoothly as possible. And then, but we had meetings leading up to this to make sure that we had everything in place. Like we had to rent some tables, some mats, the space itself, things like that. And then a lot of the graphic design and the marketing, a lot of the sponsorship coordination is what I handled mostly. So making sure that all of the sponsors were as happy as possible. And then, of course, we gave away over $100,000 in free hardware and software. So coordinating all of that was a lot of fun. And then, of course, giving it out is fun because, like, who doesn't want free stuff, especially the people who are actually going to be using it. So that's always a great thing. And then a lot of just like figuring out what we were going to do for food because we like to feed people all 3 meals. Um, So, coordinating the food and making sure that everyone was happy because everyone's got different tastes and needs and things like that. So, and then of course the happy hour was very important. And then the karaoke. So those were probably like the main things I went into it, making sure that we had the space set up for that. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And Nikki, Heidi, who's Nikki's sister, Alma and Elena, really, we all kind of spearheaded coordinating all of that in the back end leading up to it.
Another shout out, David Garcia, who was another
Oh, yes.
host, and David's a really humorous guy, probably the best singer at the karaoke. He's just a very very talented guy for karaoke. Although Zach Scriven did a really good job there too.
Well, and there was I think Devin Fisk was his name. He was the dude that sang one of the songs, and he came out of nowhere. I was like, what is this nerdy looking dude coming up? And he sang really well. And then of course Elena did her share, which is a staple. So yeah, it's karaoke so much fun. You just see so many, like, I don't know. Yeah, Patrick did really well too. That was fun. I don't know. And then yeah, everyone just did great.
Now Patrick's a musician, so I would expect that he would, of course, be able to sing some.
Well,
Patrick
and
and I,
Du Hast, can we just take a moment of celebration for Du Hast? That was Frank, that was one of my favorite songs in college. I was like obsessed with it. And you just like brought the heat with that one. I screamed when I heard that come on.
well,
Great performance. Yeah, great performance. That
I wanted to surprise everybody. I think people weren't expecting a Geritol generation to do, something like that. So I have a bigger surprise for next year. So we'll.
Oh,
Patrick will
whoa.
recognize the song, and I'll give a hint. The band is Primus. So next year I'll be doing some Primus.
My goodness. Yes. I was so happy when you got on stage, you started singing that.
So Patrick, what was your take on everything? You got to speak twice, I believe, and the first conference, right?
This was my first conference. So this is my first time participating with OT SCADA CON, and I thought it was just such a great experience. It was a challenge when I landed in Houston Wednesday morning. Juan reached out to me and said, "Hey, man, I'm not going to be able to make this. Can you cover my stuff?" And I'm like, "Okay." So I had 5 hours to prepare to give a talk on machine safety. So for those who may not know, machine safety is slightly different than industrial control system networking. But I think I was able to step in and kind of wing it using his presentation. And the parts I didn't know, I just made up with humor. So,
Well, you did a great job, and it's hard to step
thank
in
you.
for anybody. And a bunch of people stepped in. Mentioned
Yeah.
before, Ali G stepped in for David Turner, and Nikki stepped in for Scott. So that's always a good thing.
You mentioned Nikki earlier, and you were trying to think of a name for her. I think she was kindly referred to as the OT SCADA CON Mama.
The OT SCADA CON Mama. Okay, that's good. Yeah. So everybody has nicknames. Like Courtney is the capybara of automation. I
Yes.
thought that was, and I'm unofficially I'm the millennial boomer. Somebody coined that term. Any other takes on OT SCADA CON? How about the favorite event? Did anybody have a very favorite event other than maybe what we've mentioned?
I think the karaoke was the highlight for sure. A lot of hidden talents, and like you said, I think David Garcia he actually had a band before, and we kind of, I'm gonna give my highlights in here. Being my first time in there and seeing this group for the first time, right? So, I think some of us have a little more experience in one area, and what was very cool to me was I got to revisit some of these things that I've seen in school 15 years ago, or if it's something that I don't work on my daily basis, and it was a very good for a refresh. So what I would say is that if you're planning to attend next year, but you say, "Hey, I'm already a senior, an expert in this area," what was nice is because they cover a lot of things on the stack, right? So you can, you get to learn or refresh some of other areas, and again, talking to David Garcia, one of the nice things is that I felt everybody was real there. It's not a conference where everybody's so tied up and we are, putting a mask on because that's how you got to play the game. But everybody felt very real and you got a lot of connections to real people, especially like on the karaoke where it's not just the technical piece, but and then you learn a lot more things in common. Oh, you had a band. I had a band growing up in high school too. Yeah, I played the guitar, or we were shooting pool. Yeah, I used to shoot pool or something. We got to connect with a lot of people, and now I know a guy. So if you say, hey, I need a machine vision guy, now I do have one. If you need robotics, it's like, well, I may know somebody, so you are able to facilitate some of these things. I think
Right.
that's my overall, my 1 minute takeaway from it.
Before we dive back into today's episode, let me tell you about the team behind Mastering the Machine. When your manufacturing operation needs to level up its automation game, there's one name you need to know: Automation Consulting, LLC. Whether you're integrating new systems, training your workforce, or need expert consulting on industrial automation challenges, we speak both human and machine language fluently. From PLC programming to process optimization, we help manufacturing companies bridge the gap between what is and what's possible. We also host the ultimate training platform for automation professionals. At the Automation Academy, we've created your complete automation learning ecosystem. Our subscription-based training platform gives you unlimited access to comprehensive video courses on systems integration, PLCs, and HMIs. Download technical documents, software tools, and resources that you can actually use in the field. Plus, get personalized job aptitude assistance to advance your career in industrial automation. But here's the best part: connect with fellow automation professionals on IO Central, our exclusive social media platform where the automation community shares knowledge, solves problems, and builds the future together. Whether you're a seasoned engineer or just starting your automation journey, everything you need is at www.automationllc.com. That's automationllc.com. Join the subscription platform where automation expertise meets community. Now back to today's episode. And again, a little information for those who might be listening and not know the terms. Where did the name OT SCADA CON from? OT is operational technology, which usually we talk about things on the plant floor like PLCs and control systems and sensors, as opposed to IT. So there's kind of computerized controls, and keeping it real simple, there are also process control, machine control, and in process control, SCADA, which is supervisory control, and data acquisition is also common. And then CON, of course, is conference. So we did cover a whole lot of topics, and I listed some of those in the beginning here. But for people that are in process control, they don't often get to see things in machine control, and vice versa. If you're work in a manufacturing plant and you see a lot of machinery, you don't get to know a lot about things like oil and gas or chemical processing and things like that. So it was very informative for any, people from any field. For me, I would say, one of the big ones, as with last year, was OT cybersecurity. Ashley did an incredible job, showed us 800,000 open, I believe it was Modbus ports in the United States, was able to just look at the ports all over the place and say, these are all open, and then actually drilled into one. And this was like a car wash in Jacksonville, Florida, that she said, this one's open, and look, I can see their HMI. I can probably even press the buttons on the HMI. She didn't, fortunately, do that, right? But it was pretty amazing. And so some of these fields, Zach Scriven has been working with Walker Reynolds for years on the 4.0 solutions and unified namespace, and I still don't know a lot about that, so I learned a ton. lots of new information.
Kind of to echo what Ricardo was saying, which I love Ricardo's shirt that said OT SCADA CON, going back to the advertisement that was made by Tony Hawk, right?
Yeah, Tony Hawk. Yep.
Right.
Yep, Tony Hawk. So that was a great shirt. But to echo what he was saying, I think one of the key points of this event is the networking aspect, because you had so many different people there talking about so many different topics. Like he was saying, you might be an expert in this field, but you got to see all of the different things. Well, it's probably not all inclusive, but still, it's a lot of different things. And I feel like, unlike most conferences, where you go and you kind of have to put on this facade that you are the expert. You can come here and say, hey, I'm just a real person, right? And I might have expertise, but I'm not in competition with anyone here. And you start talking with people and realize, okay, we're all in the same boat, so why don't we lock arms and do this together? And like he was saying, hey, I know a vision guy. Man, Greg did such an awesome job. I mean, I didn't realize there was so much you can do with vision, and he nailed that, right? And Sandro, he was talking about servos. I've done servo drives, but to him talking about it, that's like drinking coffee to him. It's so easy. So to see people doing it, it's one thing to have touched it, right? Because we have to be the experts. Oh, you touched it last, you're the expert now. And you're not really the expert, but you're just kind of the one with the most knowledge. But there's actual experts out there, and they're right there. You can go talk to them. And so the networking aspect of this is, I think, what's so strong. We're literally building a community, and that's not just a buzzword, right? This is an actual, like, a lot of people from here I talk to, sometimes on a daily basis. And I know they're accessible, and I've actually worked with some of these people. So that's what I think the objective is in the whole concept of OT SCADA CON. It's not just a one-time event once a year. It's we're literally building a community, and I feel very privileged to be invited to be a part of it.
Absolutely. And so for people who've ever been to the large conferences, going to like Automate or the Automation Fair by Rockwell, you may see the speakers, but your chances of actually talking to the speakers are somewhat slim because there's thousands and thousands of people there. And I want to say here, we had over 100, but probably less than 200. Emily, do you know how many people actually attended?
Yeah, so we had, all in all, I believe it was 214 signups. And if my math was correct, seeing with the number of badges that were left on the table of people that for whatever reason could not show up, I believe the end number ended up being 96 that actually showed up and got their badge. So I feel like that's because last year, I believe the end number was somewhere in the 70s, like 74 or something like that. So it was really cool that, I mean, that's a pretty good, because we had a lot of people had medical emergencies, like, or death in the family that couldn't come at the last minute. So yeah, it was cool that many people showed up.
So the 96 was paid attendees or including speakers?
That was including the speakers and the sponsor representatives, but we kind of all consider you guys the same, because that's actually one thing I was going to mention about the networking aspect and the expertise and you actually getting to like talk to and be friends with the speakers. Like, I'm coming from an outside perspective. I'm not an engineer, and I also have not had I'm kind of new to the industrial engineering space. What I think is so cool about OT SCADA CON is that you guys have it's an open conversation almost. Like, yes, the speaker shares their piece, but then like I love the question and answer afterwards. And then even after that with the networking, it's more of like oh, well, hey, I actually have this experience with this thing. And it's everybody in the audience kind of chiming in and talking about it. And then other speakers chiming in and even sponsor, like a lot of the sponsor reps were very participatory this year, which I thought was really cool. Even more so than last year. Like, they came in, they were like one of the pals, so I think that's a really cool aspect, that it feels more like an open, yes, there's that educational component from expert speakers, but there's also that like open conversation, come and like share your experience, everyone, please, we want to hear it all. Yep.
So another thing, Nestor has made some really good suggestions for next year's OT SCADA CON. And so it's going to be, my guess is it's going to be bigger because as more people hear about it, they're going to, want to sign up. But also, he made some really good suggestions that are going to make it even better next year. And we'll kind of leave that as maybe a surprise for some of what's going on next year as the year goes on. So keep it. By the way, for those of you also, I expect that the people who might listen to podcasts and things don't know where all these people met each other. A lot of this comes from LinkedIn. People who have professional associations with each other all over the country and have connected on LinkedIn.
All over the world.
Yeah, all over the world. Absolutely. Yeah. So, yep. Nick, you attended this, and I know Nick he was actually a member of my Automation Academy for a little while and got to look around in there. But also, I believe this was your first OT SCADA CON?
No, I attended the one from last year. as well.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of picked up on it from LinkedIn, and I got interested in LEG's PLC kits for kids. I decided I wanted one, so I purchased one. But then I started meeting some of the people on LinkedIn, and then I attended the conference last year, and then again attended the conference this year. And I guess from my perspective, it was kind of almost a night and day. Last year, it seemed a little more tense, maybe, and people were going to meet up with people that they had met online, and some of the networking didn't seem to be as free flowing. But this year was much improved, and so I got to network with a lot more people this year, and not having known hardly anyone starting last year and going into this year. And I mean, that's what I was trying to get out of it. Do a little bit of networking, learn a little bit about what people are working on, something new, something that I don't know much about, and then just being able to share some of my personal experiences. And I talked to Nikki a little bit before I left, and I told her this year's event I enjoyed much more than last year's.
I can echo that. Last year, I'm not going to say a little nervous, but I hadn't spoken at a conference like this before. I do some speaking and certainly teaching, but not in front of a big room full of people. And also, I'm really not that social of a person like a lot of people may be, right? A little bit introverted. And so I wasn't going out of my way last year to meet people that I didn't recognize, just go up and introduce myself. Whereas this year, I felt a lot more comfortable doing that. I could go up and, hey, is this your first conference, or were you here last year, or whatever? I want to say, yeah, last year I didn't remember you being there, yet I knew your name very well. So that's a great
Right.
case in point.
Yeah, you and I had some good conversations last year. But yeah, I'm a big introvert, so I guess you'll figure that out about me. But once I get engaged with somebody one on one, and that's what introverts tend to do is engage with people one on one, then I can be very passionate about things. So
Absolutely.
Well, and I
Anybody?
will can I just say something
Sure.
from the coordinator's side? And I don't know if you guys felt this in the audience, but at least from my perspective this year, it felt from the coordinators that because we had already kind of like, it wasn't our first rodeo, and some of the things went a little bit more smoothly. Like we didn't have the virtual streaming thing. And it just like, we kind of like knew what to expect going into this year. So from like, I know I would, and also I knew everybody because I feel like all of us here are probably like nerdy introverts. So like I felt more comfortable because I felt like I was friends with a lot of you, or I at least recognized your name from the previous years or from LinkedIn. So I kind of knew everybody, but then like all of the coordinators, we had a better bond together this year. And so things went, I think we knew how to communicate with each other. Things went more smoothly, I thought, from the back end side of things. So yeah, I'm glad that you guys picked up on that because we did try to take feedback from last year and incorporate it into this year, but then, and of course, we'll continue to do that in future iterations of this. But yeah, no, it definitely, I had a lot more fun. And because, yeah, we just knew what to expect. It wasn't a secret anymore.
Something else I did the year between the two OT SCADA cons, I travel a lot for work, and I was able to go and meet a lot of the people that were at last year's in person. So, for instance, I met Emily up in Providence. I was up in the Boston area, and Emily drove down, and we had lunch together. I had met Patrick. He came up to the assembly show here in Nashville and actually stayed in my office, which is an old house here. And so that worked out pretty well. And I met Juan Pino. I met Vinny down in Miami. So it was really nice connecting with some of these people and learning more about them one-on-one. And I would encourage anybody that went to OT SCADA Con to reach out to other people they met on, say, LinkedIn and things. And if you're in the area, if you're traveling for work or whatever, get to know some of these folks offline too.
I just wanted to share that Rafi actually reached out to me this past spring, and he was going to be in the area where I was. And we ended up going to the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum near Dulles.
Yep.
And it was just an awesome experience and seeing all the aircraft, and both had a common interest. And so it was a good time just hanging out with him for a couple hours.
Yep. So Ricardo, where are you located?
I'm in Pennsylvania,
Oh,
so
okay.
closer to Philly. Yeah, Philadelphia on the East
Okay.
Coast. Yeah.
So Elena is
But I
from
go down to Brazil
Pittsburgh,
a
but-
lot, so
Ah,
that's what.
okay.
Yeah. I have a business over there too, so I kind of travel quite a bit, a few times a year. So, but and I travel all over the U.S. for startups as well, right?
So we're all scattered. Patrick's not too far from me. He's down in Alabama, and I'm up in Tennessee. So I'm actually headed down there for a job in September. So I may get to stop by Birmingham and say hi if Patrick's in the area. So Albert's in California. Albert's not saying much, but Albert, I want to give him kudos for his presentation. Last year, it was definitely, I think, his first time ever speaking in front of everybody. And this year, he just came out kind of, hey, everybody, how you doing? And that's really, really hard to do, right? After only speaking one time in front of people. And so it was, and
So he said
yeah.
here on the chat, I'm still hard to find. So speak for yourself. So he's he's a celebrity, and I know it's kind of hard. You gotta, to find him.
Yeah.
And
Well,
he
he just
also
wants
we
me
were
to help
all,
him with his marketing.
and I think it's funny how we were all trying to help at the karaoke, right? So if we are all a bunch of automation people, nerds on computer, right? We have the IT guy, and then the guy says, "Well, I'm having problems with my computer here at the karaoke." Everybody was like, "Well, hey, hold on a minute." So,
That's true. He did a
Albert,
karaoke song, I believe.
yeah,
Yeah,
He
he's
did.
not. Yeah,
It's not hard. It's not easy to stand up and do some Eminem, but he brought it.
that's
I was
right.
so proud of him.
I did see that. And Albert's showing his face now. He's not hiding out anymore. But he was in the big picture too. Uh, he's over on the right, and he's really coming out of his shell in the picture, right? He's in the red shirt over on the right of the big group.
Maybe a bit much.
Maybe a bit much. Uh, yeah. Yeah, and Albert's one of the people I really want to get out to my place. I'm sitting on top of 30 laptops and a server that all need something. I'm not really sure what. So, any other final takes? How about best swag? I have that written. Does anybody? I think Albert won something that was pretty expensive, if I remember correctly. It was one of the better swag pieces, and I won something, and it's pretty cool. I haven't used it yet, but anybody have a comment on the swag, best swag that was there?
Well, for clarification, do you mean swag or do you mean raffle item?
Raffle items, which is expensive swag, right? There was right. So there was a lot of free stuff, right? There were lanyards and magnets and pens and hats and cat ears. I didn't wear my cat ears today, but
Oh.
then there was raffles of hundreds, maybe 1,000 items. I don't know. A lot of things were raffled, expensive things, right? So how about best raffle items?
There were so many good raffle items that it's kind of hard to pick just one. That was another aspect that I think was a highlight, is that they were able to showcase all these different pieces of hardware and whatnot that were being able to raffle off. And I think Emily even raffled off her services, which I think was an amazing thing and very kind thing to offer. So it's kind
Kind
of
or
hard.
marketing hack?
Yeah, well,
Mm.
which kind of just proves your value, right? So,
I don't know. I thought that Pelican case was pretty sweet. Did you see that one?
That
No.
was
It
nice.
What a training kit.
Yeah.
That's what you got, right? The Epic Groove, wasn't it?
Oh, the Epic
Groove.
Groove was
It
in a
was.
Pelican case? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like a
I know.
learning
I mean,
center
I will
with it.
shamelessly admit I saw the Pelican case first, and then I saw the rest of the kit.
It
And
was fire.
I decided I already had enough stuff, so I would pass it on to somebody else and pay it forward. So it's in Elena's hands now.
Oh, very cool. Okay. Yeah.
Which, I mean, that speaks to the community that we have built, that you're willing to do that, right? So that's awesome. And I think somebody else, they realized that they weren't going to utilize the prize that they won, so they gave it to somebody else who would use it, which I thought was great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
in a very
was. And
pessimistic
we were
way, I would
always.
have $50. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, in a very pessimistic way, what I won was a $50 upcharge to take it home.
Okay. That's right. You flew out, so you had to take it home on the plane.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
what I was gonna say was that was nice because when people say, "Hey, I don't have a use case for this," I think Sandro was saying, "Hey, I already have all this in my lab at Festo, so I will give this to somebody else that actually will use it." I never win anything in raffle, so I didn't. I put all my tickets into the Wintex HMI, and I really thought I was gonna win it. I didn't. And there are people that their names were drew a couple of times, and there was even a rule for, hey, you can't win more than X amount of prizes. And then I said, who's that kind of lucky? Like my name didn't got drawn one time, and I got extra tickets.
wow.
So it's funny you mentioned that about the HMI, because I wanted the HMI too, but I realized everyone's going to go after the bigger one. So I went after the
Uh-huh.
smaller one and I won it. So I was very fortunate in that regard.
Now, also, those HMIs are not terribly expensive. That's one
They're
of the
not,
great
they're
things
not,
about
yeah.
Wine Tech. Yeah. Or Wind Tech, as they
Yeah.
sometimes call it. Yeah.
So I think one of the nice things for sponsors is that there were a lot of hardware that I didn't know about. So it was nice because they give like a little overview before they do the raffle, right, the drawing. So that was very nice because you get to see more hardware, you get to learn about more options out there. So that was very nice about it. So I actually got a very good connection there with, I think, a Synergy Logic that they do this remote I/O. So I didn't know about it, and that's something that I need. So we got a very good connection going, and we are already working on something. So that's just to say that you get there, you know about areas that you don't work on, and you get awareness of new products and new things that are coming up. Like this product is brand new coming up in the market. So yeah, so it's a very, very good place to be for anything new coming up. And it's not that, and what I like about OT is that I've been doing this for 15 years, OT, PLC and controls, and we are not talking about AI. No, he was like, no, this is PLC, electrical, robotics, and this is real OT, real automation and controls. And I liked that a lot.
One of the improvements they mentioned for next year is they are going to describe the raffle items before the conference. That was one of the suggestions, to where people know what they're putting their tickets in the bags for. That's how we raffled everything. Everybody got tickets and we put them in bags, and then they drew the tickets out of the bags. And so you would know ahead of time what you might be interested in for your field.
Very nice.
So,
well, and also the hope is to get if like there's a rep from that company there, for them to actually talk about it. So they get a little bit of a sales pitch, but we try to be vendor agnostic or company sponsor agnostic as much as possible. So yeah, but it's nice also to hear sometimes from the horse's mouth exactly what the capabilities are, because there's only so much you can get across via like a small little paragraph. So anyway, that would be cool going forward if we could get them to talk about it beforehand.
Exactly. So next year, it will probably be at about the same time, sometime in July in Houston, for those who are interested in attending OT SCADA CON 2026. Last year was in the Phoenix Experience Center, and honestly, we outgrew it. It was just the auditorium and everything was a little bit smaller there, so that's why we did it at the Endresen Hauser Center this year, and it was bigger. We had a little more space, but even there, if you get up to several hundred people, I think we could outgrow things. And I kind of hate to see it get too big, because then people aren't able to meet each other and see what's going on and all that. So thanks everyone for hanging out with me on this Saturday morning, and we will see you at the next OT SCADA CON. Well, that's a wrap on this episode of Mastering the Machine. Whether you're headed back to the production line or entering sleep mode, remember, in the world of automation, we're all learning to speak the same language. Thanks for joining me today, both my human listeners and any AI overlords who might be tuning in. Until next time, keep your sensors sharp, your processes optimized, and your curiosity fully operational. This is Frank Lamb signing off. Stay automated, stay amazing.